Vice President of the United States of America. Kamala Harris. Will you be Kamala Harris, President of the United States of America? Part 1. Kamala Devi Harris is an American politician and attorney who is the 49th and current Vice President of the United States since 2021 under President Joe Biden. She is the first female Vice President and the highest-ranking female official in U.S. history, as well as the first African American and first Asian American Vice President. A member of the Democratic Party, she was previously a U.S. Senator from California from 2017 to 2021 and the Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017. Born in Oakland, California, Harris graduated from Howard University and the University of California, Hastings College of the Law. She began her law career in the office of the District Attorney of Alameda County, before being recruited to the San Francisco DA's office, and later the City Attorney of San Francisco's office. In 2003, she was elected DA of San Francisco. She was elected Attorney General of California in 2010 and re-elected in 2014. Harris served as the junior U.S. Senator from California from 2017 to 2021. She defeated Loretta Sanchez in the 2016 Senate election to become the second African American woman and the first South Asian American to serve in the U.S. Senate. As a senator, Harris advocated for gun control laws, the DREAM Act, a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, federal legalization of cannabis, as well as healthcare and taxation reform. She gained a national profile for her pointed questioning of Trump administration officials during Senate hearings, including Trump's second Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh. Harris sought the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination, but withdrew from the race prior to the primaries. Biden selected her to be his running mate, and their ticket went on to defeat the then-incumbent president and vice president, Donald Trump and Mike Pence, in the 2020 election. Harris and Biden were inaugurated on January 20, 2021. After Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential election, Harris launched her own campaign for president with Biden's endorsement. Kamala Devi Harris was born in Oakland, California, on October 20, 1964. Her mother, Shyamala Gopal, was a Tamil Indian biologist whose work on the progesterone receptor gene stimulated advances in breast cancer research. She moved to the United States from India as a 19-year-old graduate student in 1958, after studying home science at Lady Irwin College in New Delhi. After studying nutrition and endocrinology at the University of California, Berkeley, she received her Ph.D. in 1964. Kamala Harris's father, Donald J. Harris, is Jamaican-American of Afro-Jamaican ancestry. He is a Stanford University professor of economics who arrived in the United States from British Jamaica in 1961 for graduate study at UC Berkeley, receiving a Ph.D. in economics in 1966. Donald Harris met his future wife Shyamala Gopalan at a college club for African American students. In 1966, the Harris family moved to Champaign, Illinois when her parents took positions at the University of Illinois. The family moved around the Midwest, with both parents working at multiple universities in succession over a brief period. Kamala, along with her mother and sister, moved back to California in 1970, while her father remained in the Midwest. They stayed briefly on Milvia Street in central Berkeley, then at a duplex on Bancroft Way in West Berkeley, an area often called the Flatlands with a significant black population. When Harris began kindergarten, she was bused as part of Berkeley's comprehensive desegregation program to Thousand Oaks Elementary School, a public school in a more prosperous neighborhood in northern Berkeley which previously had been 95% white, and after the desegregation plan went into effect became 40% black. Her parents divorced when she was 7. Harris has said that when she and her sister visited their father in Palo Alto on weekends, other children in the neighborhood were not allowed to play with them because they were black. A neighbor regularly took the Harris girls to an African American church in Oakland where they sang in the children's choir, and the girls and their mother also frequently visited a nearby African American cultural center. Their mother introduced them to Hinduism and took them to a nearby Hindu temple, where Shyamala occasionally sang. As children, she and her sister visited their mother's family in Madras several times. She says she has been strongly influenced by her maternal grandfather P.V. Gopalan, a retired Indian civil servant whose progressive views on democracy and women's rights impressed her. Harris has remained in touch with her Indian aunts and uncles throughout her adult life. Harris has also visited her father's family in Jamaica. When she was 12, Harris and her sister moved with their mother to Montreal, Quebec, where Shyamala had accepted a research and teaching position at the McGill University-affiliated Jewish General Hospital. Harris attended a French-speaking primary school, Notre Dame des Neiges, then Face School, and finally Westmount High School in Westmount, Quebec, graduating in 1981. Wanda Kagan, a high school friend of Harris, later told CBC News in 2020 that Harris was her best friend and described how she confided in Harris that she had been molested by her stepfather. She said that Harris told her mother, who then insisted Kagan come to live with them for the remainder of her final year of high school. Kagan said Harris had recently told her that their friendship, and playing a role in countering Kagan's exploitation, helped form the commitment Harris felt in protecting women and children as a prosecutor. Harris then attended Vanier College in Montreal in 1981 to 1982. Harris then attended Howard University, a historically black university in Washington, D.C. While at Howard, she interned as a mailroom clerk for California Senator Alan Cranston, chaired the Economics Society, led the debate team, and joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Harris graduated in 1986 with a degree in political science and economics. She then returned to California to attend the University of California, Hastings College of the Law through its Legal Education Opportunity Program. While at UC Hastings, she served as president of its chapter of the Black Law Students Association. He graduated with a Juris Doctor in 1989 and was admitted to the California bar in June 1990. In 1990, Harris was hired as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, California, where she was described as an able prosecutor on the way up. In 1994, Speaker of the California Assembly Willie Brown, who was then dating Harris, appointed her to the State Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board and later to the California Medical Assistance Commission. Harris took a 6-month leave of absence in 1994 from her duty, then afterward resumed working as prosecutor during the years she sat on the boards. Harris's connection to Brown was noted in media reportage as part of a pattern of California political leaders appointing friends and loyal political soldiers to lucrative positions on the commissions. Harris has defended her work. In February 1998, San Francisco District Attorney Terrence Hallinan recruited Harris as an assistant district attorney. There, she became the chief of the Career Criminal Division, supervising 5 other attorneys, where she prosecuted homicide, burglary, robbery, and sexual assault cases, particularly 3-strikes cases. In 2000, Harris reportedly clashed with Hallinan's assistant, Darrell Salomon, over Proposition 21, which granted prosecutors the option of trying juvenile defendants in Superior Court rather than juvenile courts. Harris campaigned against the measure, which passed. Salomon opposed directing media inquiries about Prop 21 to Harris and reassigned her a de facto demotion. Harris filed a complaint against Salomon and quit. In August 2000, Harris took a job at San Francisco City Hall, working for City Attorney Louise Wren. Harris ran the Family and Children's Services Division representing child abuse and neglect cases. Wren endorsed Harris during her DA campaign. In 2002, Harris prepared to run for District Attorney of San Francisco against Hallinan and Bill Fazio. Harris was the least known of the 3 candidates but persuaded the Central Committee to withhold its endorsement from Hallinan. Harris and Hallinan advanced to the general election runoff with 33 and 37% of the vote, respectively. In the runoff, Harris pledged never to seek the death penalty and to prosecute 3-strike offenders only in cases of violent felonies. Harris ran a forceful campaign, assisted by former Mayor Willie Brown, Senator Dianne Feinstein, writer and cartoonist Aaron Magruder, and comedians Eddie Griffin and Chris Rock. Harris differentiated herself from Hallinan by attacking his performance. She argued that she left his office because it was technologically inept, emphasizing his 52% conviction rate for serious crimes despite an 83% average conviction rate statewide. Harris charged that his office was not doing enough to stem the city's gun violence, particularly in poor neighborhoods like Bayview and the Tenderloin, and attacked his willingness to accept plea bargains in cases of domestic violence. Harris won with 56% of the vote, becoming the first person of color elected as District Attorney of San Francisco. Harris ran unopposed for a second term in November 2007. In the summer of 2005, Harris created an environmental crimes unit. In 2007, Harris and City Attorney Dennis Herrera investigated San Francisco Supervisor Ed Ju for violating residency requirements necessary to hold his supervisor position. Harris charged Ju with 9 felonies, alleging that he had lied under oath and falsified documents to make it appear he resided in a Sunset District home, necessary so he could run for supervisor in the 4th District. Ju pleaded guilty in October 2008 to unrelated federal corruption charges and pleaded guilty the following month in state court to a charge of perjury for lying about his address on nomination forms, as part of a plea. agreement in which the other state charges were dropped and Jew agreed to never again hold elected office in California. Harris described the case as about protecting the integrity of our political process, which is part of the core of our democracy. For his federal offenses, Jew was sentenced to 64 months in federal prison and a $10,000 fine. For the state perjury conviction, Jew was sentenced to 1 year in county jail, 3 years probation, and about $2,000 in fines. Under Harris, the DA's office obtained more than 1,900 convictions for marijuana offenses, including persons simultaneously convicted of marijuana offenses and more serious crimes. The rate at which Harris's office prosecuted marijuana crimes was higher than the rate under Howland, but the number of defendants sentenced to state prison for such offenses was substantially lower. Prosecutions for low-level marijuana offenses were rare under Harris, and her office had a policy of not pursuing jail time for marijuana possession offenses. Harris's successor as DA, George Gaskin, expunged all San Francisco marijuana offenses going back to 1975. Harris has expressed support for San Francisco's sanctuary city policy of not inquiring about immigration status in the process of a criminal investigation. In the early 2000s, the San Francisco murder rate per capita outpaced the national average. Within the first 6 months of taking office, Harris cleared 27 of 74 backlogged homicide cases by settling 14 by plea bargain and taking 11 to trial. Of those trials, 9 ended with convictions and 2 with hung juries. She took 49 violent crime cases to trial and secured 36 convictions. From 2004 to 2006, Harris achieved an 87% conviction rate for homicides and a 90% conviction rate for all felony gun violations. Harris also pushed for higher bail for criminal defendants involved in gun-related crimes, arguing that historically low bail encouraged outsiders to commit crimes in San Francisco. SFPD officers credited Harris with tightening the loopholes defendants had used in the past. In addition to creating a gun crime unit, Harris opposed releasing defendants on their own recognizance if they were arrested on gun crimes, sought minimum 90-day sentences for possession of concealed or loaded weapons, and charged all assault weapons possession cases as felonies, adding that she would seek prison terms for criminals who possessed or used assault weapons and would seek maximum penalties on gun-related crimes. Harris created a hate crimes unit, focusing on hate crimes against LGBT children and teens in schools. In early 2006, Gwen Araujo, a 17-year-old American Latina transgender teenager, was murdered by 2 men who later used the gay panic defense before being convicted of second-degree murder. Harris, alongside Araujo's mother Sylvia Guerrero, convened a 2-day conference of at least 200 prosecutors and law enforcement officials nationwide to discuss strategies to counter such legal defenses. Harris subsequently supported AB 1160, the Gwen Araujo Justice for Victims Act, advocating that California's penal code include jury instructions to ignore bias, sympathy, prejudice, or public opinion in making their decision, also making mandatory for district attorneys' offices in California to educate prosecutors about panic strategies, how to prevent bias from affecting trial outcomes. In September 2006, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed AB 1160 into law. The law put California on record as declaring it contrary to public policy for defendants to be acquitted or convicted of a lesser-included offense on the basis of appeals to societal bias. In August 2007, State Assemblyman Mark Leno introduced legislation to ban gun shows at the Cow Palace, joined by Harris, Police Chief Heather Fong, and Mayor Gavin Newsom. City leaders contended the shows were directly contributing to the proliferation of illegal guns and spiking homicide rates in San Francisco. Leno alleged that merchants drove through the public housing developments nearby and illegally sold weapons to residents. While the bill would stall, local opposition to the shows continued until the Cow Palace Board of Directors in 2019 voted to approve a statement banning all future gun shows. I stop at this point today. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the world's incredible stories. Soon we will publish part 2. Thank you for watching. I hope I added something to you.